6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
What's up team, Nsima the Centaur Inyang here. So what you just saw at the beginning of the video was us doing some stupid shit. I think I did like a 10-second pause and then a 15-second pause. Today was pause deadlift. So some of those videos are gonna go during this video because this is the first of the CENTAURFORMFIX series. I think that's what I'm calling it at least. You've also noticed this Arnold shirt will be at the Arnold Fit Expo this weekend. Come say hi, give me a hug. I'm not that weird, but sorry that this video is coming a little bit late. I had a lot of fucking work to do this weekend, and for me, my client work comes before YouTube, even though I like to give out a lot of YouTube content. So, I'm sorry that this video is late. I don't know if there's gonna be a Q&A this week because I'm gonna be at the Arnold, but I am gonna try and get it done sometime. So I might do it in a hotel, who knows? Let's just get right into it. You guys sent me a shit ton of emails. So what I'm gonna have to do is I won't be able to go through all of your emails. What I'm generally gonna do with all these videos is because even if I see a lot of things that might be wrong with something, I'm gonna try and choose the biggest thing that will make the biggest difference for your lift at this point in time, and then you'll go from there. I won't tell you multiple things that you should do because that's just a little bit too much. So I'm just gonna treat this like what I do with my clients. I change one big thing that's gonna make the biggest change for them in the long run, then we make smaller changes from there. First video is from Raymond Trin. I think he did 145 kilograms, 160, and 170. Now there's gonna be a theme that you guys are gonna notice through some of these videos. As much as you wanna continue fixing your form over time and getting better mechanics, in some of your lifts, you might actually have very good mechanics and you don't need to tweak a shit ton of things. Be okay with that and just keep doing what you're doing at a certain point, because Raymond is a good example of this. He deadlifted, or he has a sumo deadlift, right? And a good thing he's doing is that he's not bringing his hips too low before he initiates the deadlift. He's being patient off the floor. He's not rushing the bar off the floor by pulling it. He's driving his hips forward and he doesn't lose position. On his 170 kilogram pull, he does come forward a little bit at the very top, but that was a fluke, and it could also be because he was barefoot. A question I have for you, Raymond, and something I kind of noticed on that 170 kilogram pull is that your knees came in when the bar was a little bit halfway above your knees. So when you are sumo deadlifting, you should be trying to spread the floor apart or creating torsion like we've talked about video after video that gets your knees out of the way. That might have been something that you might have forgot to do and is also very difficult to do if you are barefoot. I don't think you were wearing deadlift socks either. So it is a difficult thing to do if you're barefoot, which is probably why you lost balance. But other than that, Raymond, this is a really sexy pull. Like, it's a good looking pull. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep being patient off of the ground, holding position, which is something we talk about a lot through these videos, and you're gonna be good, dude. Deadlift looks nice. Let's look at the next one. Okay, so this is from Thomasson. Okay, he has, his first set is gonna be 335 by 3, followed by 395 by 6, and he says he has the problems of his hips shooting up, and he wants us to fix that. So let's see what's going on here, Brandon. All right, Brandon, so one thing, and something that you hear a lot of people that pull sumo say, is be patient off of the floor. And people that pull conventional love to say, oh, just rip that shit off of the ground. But what happens when you rip shit off the ground is you end up using a lot of your back to initiate the pull, and your hips will shoot up and forward. Now I know that your hip position starts a little bit high already, and they shoot up just a little bit, but this doesn't look that bad. The only thing I could tell you to fix this right now is to be a little bit more patient when you're initiating that pull. That means purposefully let it take a little bit more time off the ground. And what that'll do is that'll help you make sure that you're continuing to drive your hips forward rather than having your upper body lurch forward, then your hips drive forward. So you need to be patient off the ground, and then after you do that, you should be able to maintain that position when you're going forward with the pull. That's really the only thing I can see from this angle. I would like to see maybe a front angle, but the only thing that I see right here is just a little bit more patience, because since you're kind of rushing your pull, you're lurching yourself forward. And that's the only problem here, at least from what I can see from this footage. So yeah, be a little bit more patient off the ground, almost like you were pulling sumo, and keep that hip position. That's it. Next video. All right, Miguel, so he says he feels a pull more than a push. Could you help why you feel this? So what I like to do is like kind of slow the footage down when you send it. You're doing a good job at hinging at the hips before you start, which at first I thought you weren't, but I was wrong. So you're hinging at the hips, you're pulling yourself into position. What I think you could do to have a slightly better pull is it seems that your hips are pretty far away from the bar when you start out. So what I would do is I would increase your foot angle by like, this is gonna be really small, like 5 to 10 degrees, okay? And then make sure that, again, you're creating that torsion to move your knees out of the way, because your knees seem to be in the way when you initiate the pull. And what's gonna happen when you do that is, because since you're already pulling yourself into position, you are gonna lurch forward since your hips aren't being activated first. It is like you are kind of pulling before you're driving your hips forward. So hinge at the hips, have a slightly, not wider foot position, but increase the angle of your foot, continue to spread the floor from there. And since your hips are gonna be a little bit close to the bar, since you have increased your foot angle, you should be able to start with a better hip position that you should be able to maintain. So that's what I would do in your case. Try that out, and then, yeah, I think that should help you out there. Just make sure that the reason why a lot of people have a problem engaging their hips is because they're not twisting the floor at the bottom of their deadlift. Their feet aren't twisting, so they're not engaging their hips before they start to pull, and it ends up being an actual pulling with your back more than a push. Because what I can see from what you did is that you are driving your hips forward, but you are pulling first, okay? So yeah, increase your foot angle, you'll be a little bit closer with your hips, and then that should help with this whole issue that you're having. Also, another thing that kind of reigns true with the sumo is that it will take time off of the ground. So be ready for the bar to stick on the ground a little bit longer than it typically would. And then just keep driving the hips forward from that point. That should get rid of your issues off the bat. Okay, so Ken sent a front squat. So Ken, first off, good job using that grip. Most people don't. What I can tell is when you're squatting, you lack ankle mobility, so your ankles are coming off the ground. Either increase your ankle mobility or start using some Olympic lifting shoes with the raised heel, because that will impact the amount of ankle flex you need to have at the bottom of your squat, and you won't have that issue. But I'd probably just say, just increase that ankle mobility to help with that first issue. Issue number 2 with your front squat, which a lot of people have when they do use this grip, is the rounding of the upper back when they're doing a front squat. So when you are getting yourself into that position, screw your hand in. I've made a video about getting into position for this front squat actually. Screw your hand in and make sure that your lats are pinching back. So don't come forward like this, you don't let this rounding happen. Keep your chest tall and screw yourself in here so that you can keep a good back position. Those are the only big 2 holes I see. If you're able to fix your ankle mobility, when you get down into the hole, there won't be as much, you won't feel as awkward because you'll actually have the mobility to do that. Or like I said, if you get some Olympic lifting shoes, that will help. And then keep a better back position by, instead of coming here and rounding forward, screw yourself in and screw it back. Okay, so keep your lats or keep your scapula depressed while you're screwing yourself in. The next video is from Mohammed Hassan. He's asked me to fix his squat. Tries to squat with Mark Ripito style, where he tries to use hip drive out of the hole. Basically, I try to shoot my hips up to generate power. Problem is the bar path. So what I can already tell, Mohammed, is that you have some really long fucking femurs. And since you have such long femurs, that is kind of messing up your bar path, since it looks like from the video your stance isn't really that wide. So I'd suggest maybe widen your stance just a tad, maybe like an inch on both feet, potentially. And then from the hole, you're doing a good job of keeping your back position. Your back isn't crumbling. You're bracing fairly well. This weight doesn't really seem like it's heavy for you, but what's going on is that you're squatting really, really low. And if you were to give yourself a slightly wider foot position, you could cut your depth a little bit, still hit depth, and then you wouldn't have such a broad problem with your bar path while coming out of the hole. So I'd say the big thing for you to fix, or the big thing that you should probably try and do, is widen that stance position, because you're holding a good position when you get into the hole. And that's really the big hole I see. Okay, Kyle, so what's happening in your bench press? First off, like, you bring it down, you're keeping well stacked. But this is a problem that I see with a lot of people when they initiate their bench press. When they go to unrack the bar, they come here, right? So they're here. And then what happens is that you got yourself maybe into a nice position with your scapula retracted and depressed. But then when you unrack the bar, you go like this, you lose your shoulder position, you bring the bar out, and then you bench from here. You try, like some people, like you didn't try it in this video, but some people try to get that position back and they don't. What you want to do is when you're unracking the bar, imagine that you get yourself into position, you retract and depress your scapula, right? You get a handoff and you're pulling that bar out of the rack. Rather than releasing, you keep that position and you pull the bar out of the rack. You'll notice that I'm already in a good position here. My rear delt's still gonna probably be on the bench, and then you're here, rather than releasing, losing all that tightness that you tried to create, bring the bar down and coming up. That's gonna be the biggest thing that's gonna help you improve your bench press at this point in time. So this was the first video out of the Centaur Form Fix series. And I can already tell there were a lot of holes in the way I did this, and even the way I gave suggestions. But this is the first one. Hopefully the people that I helped, you can implement some of the things I told you. For all of you guys that were having problems with your starting position during your conventional or your sumo deadlift, remember the best accessory exercise to learn how to keep positional integrity with the deadlift is a paused deadlift, pausing either 1 to 2 inches from the floor. Because what that'll force you to do when you're using a 60-65% load is it'll force you to hold a good position and then drive your hips through. If you don't hold a good position, you won't be able to actually pause, and your back will either come forward and you'll fuck up. So you'll know that that is what you need to fix. Pause deadlifts. Now, in terms of sending footage to me, this is the 2 ways I want you guys to do it. Either post on Instagram and then email me the URL so I can watch the video or videos on Instagram. I can also download them from Instagram and put them onto this. Or send me the YouTube URL to the video so I can watch the video on YouTube. Having to download videos is actually a very difficult, it's kind of difficult to do. Because some people send different video download types and I can't download some of those on my phone. So I couldn't include some of those in this video. So those are the 2 ways I want you to send video. Now also, when you're sending footage over, I want you to make sure that ideally you're using maybe 80% plus loads, because with loads above 80%, we can generally see a lot of things that could be wrong with your lift, versus sending like a hypertrophy at a 4x8. Then, you won't be able to see as many holes with that lift, okay? I believe that's it. Centaur Form Fix number 2 is coming next week. I hope that it will improve upon this one, since this is the first time I'm doing this for the masses. And I hope that the people that I helped in this video will be able to get something from that video. Remember, when you send the email, Centaur Form Fix 2, and then say squat, bench, or whatever you're having me check out, make sure that's in the title of the email. And I believe that is it. I will see all of you at the Arnold Fit Expo. This is Nsima the Centaur Inyang from Break the Bar, Be an Anomaly. Ask any of your questions below. And other than that, I will talk to all of you very, very soon.